Are you guys ready for your final storyteller for the evening? All right, Paul T. You're great. No, you're great. You're perfect. Go.
Oh boy. So my buddy Butzo comes by my dorm room and says, let's go out and ride the sled in the country. And it was like, okay, that sounds great. Had botany class coming up. There were 6 of us that had bought this, it was a 64 Impala, and we paid like $200 for it, which in today's dollars would be like buying like a $600 car. And it was a great car. No, it was great. It was 10 years old. The odometer had been rolled once. Came with 7 spare tires. We didn't have rims. We just had the tires. And we had bought it for the express purpose of taking out and riding around in the country. I went to school at this really small college in Illinois. I grew up in New York, and I'm in this place where there's like no people for miles and miles. But it's great because we could take this car, we could go out riding. We'd play this game called Left, Right, Straight, and you could play it 2 ways. One was sort of everybody gets to decide where we're going. So the driver's driving, you get to an intersection, and somebody yells what we're supposed to do, left, right, or straight. Or you could play it like chicken. And so you designate somebody that's going to call the direction, and they would not call it until you got right to the intersection, and then the driver had to try and make the turn and whatnot. And the sled was perfect for this because it weighed like 2 tons, and you could spin it out, and it wasn't going to roll over and whatnot. And anyhow, so we're out in the country, and we're driving along, and Illinois, where we were, was really pretty damn flat. You had, a little bit of terrain near tree bottoms and by railroad crossings. And so we're zipping along, and we're coming to the Standard City Railroad tracks, which had probably the greatest elevation change any place in the county. So the road, now I was trying to set this up, so the road is sort of coming along like this. You come down, and you have the little bump up over railroad tracks. On the other side of it, it drops down like about 15 or 20 feet. And we're just zooming along about 40 miles an hour, and the sled, we go over it, and the sled gives that little oomph, where you can feel like it gets light, and you come off the springs a little bit. And Butzo, who is not satisfied with that, decides we need to give it another shot. So we go back. We ran at it from the other direction. That didn't work because you can't go straight up in the air with something that weighs 2 tons. It just doesn't happen. So we made another run at it. We're coming out. We're going about 55 miles an hour, and we actually got it up off the springs. And, there were 6 of us in the car. This is pretty exciting. We maybe should call it quits now. Butzo, being Butzo, said no way. And he was determined. We were going to get that car off the ground. And so we backed up. We ran at it. This is true. 75 miles an hour, we hit these railroad tracks, and I have to tell you, the car actually did sort of go up a little bit into the air, and it was amazing because I don't know if you've ever been in a motor vehicle. You don't realize how much road noise you have until there is no road noise. So all of a sudden, there's like the wheels are just going like, whoo, and we're going, and we've made this little lift, so it's like blue skies out the windshield. There's no horizon. You can't see anything. And then all of a sudden, because, it is a 2-ton car, it just comes down. And it was like somebody had taken the horizon and like hinged it on the front of the bumper and went like that. And the car hits the ground, the engine dies, we roll out, and, we get out of the car. This is pre-seatbelt, so we've all kind of been knocked around a bit inside it. And we're looking at the car. Smoke's coming out from underneath the hood because the radiator's been totally busted. And in those days, cars had something called a distributor cap, which actually made it run. That thing was completely gone, and there's gas coming out the back end. So, we couldn't get the car moved. Did some work, ultimately had to walk back to campus, and it was a very sad day. I was late for biology class, and this is going to tie together here in just a sec. But the car was dead, which we had a lot of money invested in. At least I did. I had like $40, and then Butzo got a girlfriend, And so now our leader is not there to take us to do things. And so, okay, we have to find our own fun, which I did a relatively good job at on campus. Now, this was all happening in the spring. It was actually a beautiful spring. And unfortunately, the trajectory of my grades matched the arc of the car. And when we got to the end of the semester, I had at the end of my first semester, I had a 1.9, which I was very proud of. But I ended up with a 0.9, was not invited back, and ended up back home in Yonkers. Drove a forklift, worked as a taxi cab driver. My girlfriend dropped me, and I decided, you know what? I have a choice in life. I can either be like that Impala that just never moved again, or I could be like Butzo. And I decided I was going to be like Butzo, and I was just going to go at it again. And amazing thing, went back to Blackburn, graduated, worked there for 8 years, and 40 years from the day that we drove that car over the railroad tracks, they actually asked me to be the board of trustee at the college. So all I can tell you is, if you're out there and you're thinking about going for it and you're looking at those railroad tracks, aim straight so you come down right where you need to. Thank you. Thanks for the night.
Guys, keep it going for Paul.